conference standings. They are 2.5 games behind Phoenix for the 8th and final playoff spot. The Lakers have 13 games left in the regular season. Something is wrong with the Clippers. They are 1-4 in their last 5 games and lost by 17 at home Sunday night to Atlanta. The Clippers have 15 games remaining in the regular season to get things in order before the playoffs. USC star Juju Watkins was named ESPN's National Freshman of the Year in women's college basketball. The Compton native finished second in Player of the Year voting to Iowa's Caitlin Clark. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. 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 If we care
enough. Rock the house, y'all.
I'm Tavis, Smiley, and we have made it to the final hour of today's program. That conversation with Heather Fields Black is empowering. That story of the Combahee River and Harriet Tubman and what those black soldiers did is quite an amazing, amazing story. I hope you were as riveted as I was by her retelling of it. And it's a book that's worth getting. It's going to be it's going to win a lot of awards, a lot of honors this year, I think. One of the best history books of the year. And just delighted that we had a chance to talk to her about it on this program. In this final hour, 2 conversations on the B side of this hour. The California Legislative Black Caucus has finally introduced a package of proposals for reparations following the work of the state's reparations task force. But the bills, get this, do not include a single cent, not 1 penny, of cash compensation, restitution, or repair. Governor Gavin Newsom, as you may know, and other lawmakers have started to distance themselves from this concept of cash, arguing that the cash alone will not repair the harm done. But for some, the state's legislative package flat out ignoring any monetary payment is at best disingenuous, at worst dismissive. And so on the backside of this hour, I'll be joined by my colleague Dominque DiPrima, who's been covering this reparations issue, not just in this recent moment, but for years, frankly, here in California. We'll do that on the B side of this hour. But we start this hour with this.
I set my foot on the gas of the ship. The ship began to move. It carried me over into Canaan's land. And why not every man? Oh, fix me, Jesus. Oh, fix me, Jesus.
just want to give you a little fix of Revelations for you Alvin Ailey fans, and I count myself chief among them. Whenever you hear the music you're hearing now, your mind immediately goes to Revelations. Love all the tracks that are part of Revelations. Alvin Ailey is back on tour, and they are doing a wonderful tribute this year to Judith Jamison, who has been a guest on this program and my other programs over the years. I love Judith. We're friends, and I just celebrate all that she has done for this company. But I'm delighted now to be joined by one who has distinguished himself in his own right, choreographer Ronald K. Brown, to talk about dance, Alvin Ailey, and paying tribute to Judith Jamison. Ronald K. Brown, how are you today, sir?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored, and if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I am doing well, and I consider myself fortunate, sir, to be in conversation with one of your artistic genius. So thank you, thank you for the time. Let me start with this. When you hear the tracks that we played, that of course take us immediately to Revelations, performed brilliantly for decades now by Alvin Ailey. When you hear that music, you think what?
I think one that my heart is so open and blessed because of Mr. Ailey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell me more about the ways in which, as you suggest now, your life and your work and your witness, your legacy has been blessed by one Alvin Ailey.
So I was born in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, and in the second grade, I went on a school trip to see the Ailey Company, and went home immediately and made a dance. Oh, you can make a dance about God and people in church. I started making the dances, much to my mother's disappointment. She said, "Stop moving my furniture around, you're going to break something." but she took me to a dance studio at Reparations and Restoration Corporation. When I was around 80 years old, I said, "Mommy, there's 80 girls." It wasn't, but I thought I was only boy, and I just fought her for years. Yeah. In high school, she said, "I know there's dance." I said, "Mommy, it was too late for me. I'll be a writer." And so I got a scholarship for journalism. And for the summer, I think, I'll dance for the summer. Mm-hmm. Go to a small studio in Lower Manhattan. They want me to round my back in a contraction in the Martha Graham technique. And I don't know what they're talking about. I can't do it. I'm 16 years old. I graduated early, right? Mm-hmm. And so I said, "Mom, can I give up this journalism scholarship and figure this dance thing out?" And so Alice Brown told me, she said, "Boy, I told you so. Get a job and learn how to dance." And so I studied dance hard for 2 years, and then I started my company in 1985. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And so then I met Ms. Jamison in 1987, 21 years old. I invited her to a concert, and I'm putting up the chairs in this church. And she walks in. I'm like, "Oh, my goodness, right, Ron, you invited her. She's here." Okay. And so then when she got to the Ailey Company, she said, "Ron, I want you to put a piece on the company." And I was like, "Ms. Jamison, what? This boy who's afraid to take a dance class is going to create a piece on the Ailey Company?" And so the first piece in 1999 was Grace. Mm-hmm. So then years later, she says, "It's my anniversary. I want you to make a piece." I said, "Oh, my goodness, how do I make a tribute for this woman who is this queen for us, this goddess, for the whole world?" So, and she had been to Brazil and had given me some painting of Ogun and some iron from Ogun. And I said, okay, so she's very direct in her life. And so I used some Orisha from Brazil and from Cuba to pay honor to this incredible woman, this queen for us. Yeah. And
Hold that thought 1 second. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were done. I'll let you finish when we come forward, though. We are just commencing this conversation with Ronald K. Brown, a brilliant choreographer in his own right with his own company. But Alvin Ailey is on tour, and they are paying tribute in this season to one Judith Jamison. And we will talk more about that when we come forward with Ronald K. Brown on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Hey y'all, Mona Swain here from Target's new YouTube series, My Cart is Full, where we feature Black founders and creators highlighting their connection to our community. As an actor and content creator, I love using my voice to inspire young Black women who look like me. When it comes to feeding my shine, seeing myself reflected in Black-owned and founded products at Target brings me joy. Together, we are Black Beyond Measure. Learn more at target.com/Black Beyond Measure.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit on the go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Call Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
Hey Californians, are you ready to make your home ownership dreams come true? The California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Program might be for you. First-generation homebuyers can get down payment and closing cost assistance along with a first mortgage to help you unlock the door of your new home. Applications open in April, so talk to an approved lender to see if you're eligible. Find out more at calhfa.ca.gov/dream or call 877-922-5432. A message from the California Housing Finance Agency.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The Tavis Smiley Show is now syndicated all across America, from Los Angeles to New York City, and plenty of places in between. But only in LA can you hear Tavis Smiley when it's convenient for you, 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Take your pick. It's Tavis Smiley on the 9s, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Ronald K. Brown, choreographer, is our guest in this half hour, and we're delighted to have him on as we celebrate Alvin Ailey, and particularly now that they're on tour again, paying tribute to one Judith Jamison during this season. Again, Ronald K. Brown is the choreographer who has created the piece that is in tribute to Judith Jamison, and so I'm honored to have him on this program. Ronald K. Brown, before I go forward, though, I want to go back once again to the first time you met Judith Jamison. I was in conversation with somebody a while ago and talking about a particular person, and I said it's an interesting thing in life when your hero becomes your friend. Very fascinating moment if you're ever fortunate enough to have that experience where your hero actually becomes your friend. You told the story quite nicely. Here you are, a kid who was, trying to branch out and do his own thing, and you end up not just in the company of, but becoming a friend, becoming a colleague, being asked by this icon, Judith Jamison, to choreograph work for her and for her company. Tell me more about how that part feels.
Oh, my goodness. So it's really blessed beyond measure. And when I was looking for a title for the piece, I said, Ms. Jamison, I think I want to name it Dancing Spirit after your autobiography. She said, Ron, you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh my goodness!" And then it starts off this slow procession, and she said, "Ron, only you would have the audacity to make us watch that slow procession."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how do we pay tribute to a woman who has done so much for us? No, like, women take our time.
Yeah,
take our time. And it's been, and we restaged it last summer. I was so happy that it was coming back into the repertory as a part of their anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a blessing to have again a queen become your friend. Come on,
yeah.
That's how I know God loves me. That's how I know.
Yeah. How would you? I know this is radio, and I know we're talking about dance. You talked about the beginning of the piece, but how would you define what this tribute piece is to Judith Jamison? How would you define it as best you can?
It's a celebration of her majesty
Mm-hmm.
and her glory. I mean, Orisha, right, is we become, when you dance Afro-Cuban dance, right, from Nigeria, from Cuba, from Brazil, it's the spirit in you that you are bringing forth in the dances. And so even I was born a Christian, right, and so I'm always trying to put God first. And so in this dance, we can bring the glory of this woman through God in the dance, in the movement. And so it starts off slow, but then it brings the fire and heat of that celebration because she, is boundless.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy. And so the dancers do that. And then there are some references from that magnificent solo cry. There's hints of it, so you see those references in the dance. So you see the woman who represents Miss Jamison in the choreography. And then I had to include Mr. Ailey when I made the piece. I was like, but he brought her to us. So then there's a figure who represents Mr. Ailey, and then all of the lineage that is a part of their legacy, all the teachers and the students who follow those two icons, who lay the path for all of us.
Yeah.
And so the dancing spirit is all of that.
Yeah, the piece.
Really lifting up.
I'm sorry. Lifting up. Finish your point. Lifting up.
No, lifting up all of those icons for us.
Yeah. Again, as you heard Ronald K. Brown say a moment ago, the piece in tribute to Artistic Director Emerita Judith Jamison is called Dancing Spirit. He mentioned Cuba and Brazil. I want to also mention Duke Ellington, Wynton Marsalis, and War. You got, the music here is so disparate. I mean, again, I said Duke, I said Wynton, I said War. You got Cuba, you got Brazil influences. I mean, the music is all over the place. I mean, you make it work. I don't mean all over the place in a negative way, but you draw on. Let me try this again. You draw on a rich. A rich tapestry of music to make this thing work. Dancing Spirit, yes.
Yes, and so I do that with the music and in the dance. I call it the triangle of us.
Uh-huh.
So from Africa to the Caribbean to the West, to the United States or Europe, it's a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
It's us. So I think it's important for the music and the dance to see all those aspects of us.
Yeah.
Starting on the continent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm still wrestling with this story you told earlier, Ronald, of meeting Alvin Ailey and going home immediately and doing your own dance. I suspect, if the truth be told, that was really the start of your career as a choreographer. You probably didn't know the word choreographer then. You know what that word was, but it sounds like that was the beginning of your choreography, sir.
Oh, yes. But Mr. Ailey let me know that I could do it. And Brother Smiley, listen,
Mm-hmm.
my company celebrates 40 years next year.
Yes.
And I can only have done this because Mr. Ailey showed me that it could be done.
Yeah. I'm glad you went there. It's on my list of things I want to cover with you, so I'm going to just do it now since you opened the door for me. So Ailey is now celebrating. I thank you for it. Ailey is now celebrating its 65th anniversary season. I'll say they're on the road, as I said. They're here in L.A. This week. I look forward to seeing them myself. But they're on the road celebrating 65 years. Next year, you will celebrate the 40th year of your own company. How does one sustain a company for 40 years? I mean, this stuff isn't easy to do.
No, so a lot of hard work and a lot of support from individuals and foundations and people.
Yeah.
It's people. My board of directors used to ask me, so what's going to happen when you die? What's the legacy? People maintain legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's the audiences and the individuals and foundations that have supported this company all these years that have allowed us to continue. And the beautiful thing about the Most High God is that my company, Evidence, is based for over 20 years at Bedford Tavis and Restoration Corporation, where I took that first dance class and ran. But I've been back here for 20 years.
Yeah. What does that mean to be back in the place for 2 decades where you first started dancing?
Oh, it's amazing. And so the biggest studio here 2 years ago, they renamed the studio after me. Like, what? No. Yeah. So and then also we have the Youth Arts Academy here.
Mm-hmm.
Over 150 kids on Saturdays, ages 2 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a pre-professional training program that's 40 kids, 11 to 18 years old. Brilliant children. Oh, my goodness. A lot of them graduate from high school with an associate's degree and a high school diploma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a question that will seem like a softball. It really isn't. I've asked this question of others, including Judith Jamison, but I've never had a chance to ask it of Ronald K. Brown, and so I want to hear your take on this. What is the value, to your mind? You've been doing this a whole lifetime now. What is the value of everyday people just stopping what we're doing every now and then and just dancing?
You know, I'm biased, but dance is a place where your spirit is free.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need that liberation in our lives. It's where you find freedom. It's where you find joy. It's where you can express sorrow, grief. It's so you can manage your emotions and share them, get them, release that energy. And that's actually the point of dancing spirit in the book. Ms. Jamison says, when you extend your arm, the energy doesn't stop at your fingertips. Your spirit is dancing, and so the energy, your spirit, extends beyond your fingers, out the top of your head. And so imagine being able to release any tension or any stuff that's in your body through dance.
Mm-hmm.
From doing it, oh my goodness, it's I'll tell you this crazy story, not a crazy story, a beautiful story. A woman, I teach a community class every Tuesday, and one of the students came and said, Ron, I had to come take this class. She said, my husband had a heart attack and died in my arms. And I said, Sandy, what are you doing here? She said, I need to be healed. And I knew you could do it. And I said, what? And so dance does that for people. And I was glad that she was able to knew that she could find that healing in dance in my class.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You have performed the world over. What do you make of the fact that whether you're dancing on a stage in New York or your company on a stage in New York or on a stage in L.A. or Dallas for that matter, versus dancing on stages around the world, dance, not unlike music, is a universal language, is it not?
Yes.
Mm.
It's amazing. Quite a few years ago, when the curtain opened up, my company was in Budapest, and we had this standing ovation and an encore. I said, "What?" Okay, they said, "No, we didn't know what life was like for Black people, really, only from the news." And so we had done this piece, High Life, music of Oscar Brown Jr., Iggy Giovanni, Bela Kuti, and just the story of the Great Migration. And so to do that in Hungary and have people say, "Oh, we didn't know what your life was like." Oh, okay, that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Yeah. How do you process? This may be an impossible question. Let me get it out, and maybe it'll make some sense to you. But I'm thinking about the choreography, and I'm thinking about the message. So when you're watching this, obviously, we see these free spirits moving all across this stage. But to your point about being in Budapest, it's not just a dance. There's storytelling that goes along with it. How do you weave those things together so beautifully, the dancing and the storytelling? You're not proselytizing. You're storytelling with the dance that we're watching, and that seems to be a difficult tab. You pull it off. You've done it 1,000 times, but that seems to be not an easy thing to do, to make sure that when we're watching this movement, that we're also receiving the story that you're sharing with us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes. So it's all about the artists that are on stage.
Okay.
And so they're deliberate and clear with their intention with the story. And so what you're doing is you're witnessing, I call it physical storytelling. So you're witnessing what they're going through. And then you start to understand, at least I call it speaking heart to heart or spirit to spirit. So you witness what they're feeling, and then you feel their sorrow. You feel their resilience. And then you leave feeling like, oh, I can do anything.
No, I wouldn't argue there. I wouldn't argue there. I believe that art does, in fact, have that kind of power. I was just talking on this program a week or so ago about how pregnant with power art really is. And I mean that in terms of the visual arts. I mean that in terms of dance. I mean that in terms of music. I was saying to somebody the other day that, including Ronald K. Brown, of course, my favorite persons to talk to are artists, because artists are truth tellers. Artists are free spirits. Artists are just better conversations because they'll give it to you straight, no chasers. I have enjoyed over the course of my career talking to artists more than anybody else, because artists are the gatekeepers of truth. They are the gatekeepers of truth, and you are one of those artists. And I wanted to spend a few moments with you in conversation. I'm grateful for these 30 minutes to have talked to you about your company celebrating its 4th anniversary next year. And Alvin Ailey is on the road right now, including a stop here in L.A., celebrating their 65th anniversary season. And when you get out to see Alvin Ailey in this city or any other between now and May 12th while they're on the road, you will see Dancing Spirit, a piece choreographed by Ronald K. Brown, paying tribute to Artistic Director Emerita Judith Jamison, and I can promise you, you will not be disappointed. Ronald K. Brown, congrats in advance on that 40th anniversary, and honored to have you on this program, my friend. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Great speaking with you as well. I thank you for the time. When we come forward in our final moments today, a conversation about reparations here in California. The whole nation is watching. And after the task force completed its work, they passed it off to the state legislature here in California. And now that legislature, the Black Caucus in our legislature, has now introduced a number of bills regarding reparations. So this is the first time any state will really start to define what reparations looks like. But there's a lot of disappointment in this state about what that definition will be. We'll talk about that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive, unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Families of students killed in the 2021 Oxford, Michigan high school shooting are urging the state attorney general to investigate potential wrongdoing by school officials. Attorney General Dana Nessel has offered to conduct an investigation twice, but was rejected by the school district. The parents say a third-party investigation did not go far enough and did not provide answers they wanted due to school officials having governmental immunity. The NBA championship ring Kobe Bryant gave to his father is up for auction. The 14-karat gold ring is a copy of the ring that was awarded to Bryant after the Lakers won the 2000 NBA championship, the first championship of the African-American basketball great's career. The ring also features 40 diamonds and the Lakers logo. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
All right, some good news on the Ventura Freeway. They cleaned up that accident off the Southeast 101 at Balboa. It looks like things are recovering, but still slow from Winnetka. On the 710 southbound, the Rosecrans Avenue off-ramp is shut down. That is all due to a vehicle fire and an accident in Ontario on the West 10 at the 15. Looks like that one is over to the right shoulder.
Why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary hair? Visit your local SoCal FS Cut and Color Salon today and let their team of expert stylists pamper you with affordable luxury. Get a free shampoo with every cut. Book your appointment today at fantasticsams.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers rolled to an easy win over Atlanta last night at Crypto. They won by 31, their largest victory margin of the season. D'Angelo Russell had 27 points and 10 assists. LeBron had 25 and 10 assists. The Lakers moved up to 9th place in the Western Conference standings. They are 2.5 games behind Phoenix for the 8th and final playoff spot. The Lakers have 13 games left in the regular season. Something is wrong with the Clippers. They are 1-4 in their last 5 games and lost by 17 at home Sunday night to Atlanta. The Clippers have 15 games remaining in the regular season to get things in order before the playoffs. USC star Juju Watkins was named ESPN's National Freshman of the Year in women's college basketball. The Compton native finished second in Player of the Year voting to Iowa's Caitlin Clark. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, where climate is king.
Shop modern, Nordic-inspired furniture and decor for your whole home at Scandinavian Designs. And get your favorite spaces refreshed for the new year. Shop one of their 5 Los Angeles locations or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The thing no one tells you about periods is that your flow changes every day, and so should your tampon size. Tampax has 5 absorbencies to match your changing flow. If it hurts to remove, go down a size. If it leaks, go up a size. Only Tampax has a leak guard braid to help give you up to 100% leak and odor-free protection. All-day comfort and protection for under $5 a month. Based on average U.S. consumer usage at manufacturer suggested price. However, pricing is at the sole discretion of the retailer. Excludes 8-count.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating.
And so as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
What an amazing show it's been today. I hope you have enjoyed it just half as much as I have, but this last half hour is going to be fire because the whole country, I was just saying to my colleague Dominque DiPrima, who's in the studio with me now, here in L.A., the whole country is watching California on this reparations issue. And so let me just bring you up to speed right quick here before I give Dominque a formal introduction and let her rip, as it were. So the California Legislative Black Caucus has finally introduced a package of proposals for reparations following the work, of course, of the state's reparations task force. But the bills, get this, do not include 1 penny of cash compensation, restitution, or repair. Governor Gavin Newsom, who I've been critical of, and other lawmakers have distanced themselves from this concept of cash payments, arguing that cash alone will not repair the harm done. Okay, but for some, including one Dominque DiPrima, the state's legislative package flat out ignoring monetary payments is, how might I put it, at best disingenuous, at worst dismissive. I'm pleased to be joined by, again, my colleague Dominque DiPrima. I'm just delighted that this program is spread across the country. But if you're ever in L.A., for that matter, tune into our app, KBLA 1580. On my home station, we are anchored every morning, 6 to 9 a.m. by Dominque DiPrima. In L.A., I run 9 to 12, so I literally received the baton from her here in L.A., every morning for 3 hours after her fine program. And so she has been in this business a long time. Not trying to call you old. She's been in a long time. And she's been covering this issue a long time. And so my first question before we get into the details of what they have done or not done in terms of this package is just your broad thoughts on having discussed this on radio in L.A. for at least 2 decades or more.
A little more than that.
More than that.
Yeah. Well, when I was a baby, me and Dick Gregory used to talk about. Dick Gregory used to come on my show, and we would always talk about this. And I believe it was about 15 years ago. He told me it would take 50 years before reparations became a serious conversation in this country. So I'm proud of us because we're 35 years ahead of schedule,
okay.
and we've come further than we probably thought we would. By this timeline. That said, Callie House started this as a Black woman reparations activist in 1880, right? So it's not new. It's a long-term conversation. But for me, I feel like there are certain things we have to talk about as Black people, because if we don't bring it forth, who will?
Yep. What do you make of the fact that it is California? And I'm not naive in asking this because it could be any of the other 49 states, but it ain't Mississippi.
Right.
It ain't Georgia. It ain't Alabama. It ain't Florida. It ain't New York is following our lead now. It ain't New York. It ain't Illinois. It's California. And when people think California, the first thing that comes to mind ain't slavery. When you think about California, what do you make of the fact that it's California that's at least leading the country in the conversation?
I think it has to do with the fact that we have a lot of powerful Black leaders here. Dr. Shirley Weber, who's an assembly member at the time when she wrote the bill for the California Task Force. Now she's Secretary of State. Black Panther Party, where did it start? You know what I mean? Arguably California. I mean, you have we have a lot of real important scholars and movements that come out of the Golden State, and we are unapologetic and abashed in the way that we move. Now, that is also indicative of the fact that there's a power base here of Black progressives that is backed up by Black celebrities with money and a conscious mass movement.
Yeah, I should mention. She mentioned the Black Panther. I do this all the time, of course. So she's used to being embarrassed this way. Well, maybe not embarrassed, but I put her on the spot. The voice you hear, Dominque DiPrima, she is the daughter of two amazing Americans. Her father is the late great Amir Baraka. Her mother is the late great Diane DiPrima, hence Dominque DiPrima. But those are her parents. So she comes from a legacy of freedom fighters, Mr. Baraka and Ms. DiPrima, a legacy of freedom fighters. And so she gets it honest. And so when you hear her for the rest of this conversation, just keep in mind that's her mom and her daddy. So you understand why she feels the way she feels about this and many other issues. So let me just yield to you. Give me and the national audience a sense of what these black legislators in California have put forth. We know ain't no money on the table yet. We'll talk about that part.
Right.
But what are they saying?
Okay, and I would also add that even though California may not be a slave state, enslaved people were here, and they were exploited here, and the legacy of Jim Crow is here. And as you saw with the Bruce's Beach story, the other legacies of the theft of black wealth also impact California. So thus the task force was appropriate. So the Legislative Black Caucus here for the state of California has put forth 14 bills. And then Senator Steve Bradford put forth 2 that were separate from that, but arguably the most important. So let's start with those. Okay. Senator Bradford has proposed a Freedmen's Bureau for the state of California, which would process any funding or any programs that have to do with reparations, reparatory justice. And it would be a hub, something like what we had federally during the Reconstruction that was abolished. And his other bill, which is more recent and somewhat sort of kind of addresses the money issue, is meant to take 6% of the funds, new funds, coming into the state's rainy day fund, emergency fund, and set it aside for reparations programs, whatever they might be. That's critical because if we ever do pass cash reparations, there has to be a legislative mechanism in order for that to happen, and there has to be an agency to dispense it. So basically what Bradford is proposing are 2 pieces of the puzzle that we would need to get to cash reparations. So they're very important.
So the argument right now, there are a number of them. Let me just throw them at you and let you respond. So one argument is the polling data indicates in this state that while fellow citizens up and down California are sympathetic to the plight of black people and what our ancestors had to endure, they don't think cash payments is the way. So one, you've got data that says that we should not we can't pay our way out of this. That's what the electorate says here in California. The other argument, to your point of a moment ago, is that while Gavin Newsom inherited a very nice surplus from the former governor Jerry Brown, California is now facing a deficit. Those are 2 of the arguments being used to say why we can't do cash payments right now, even if we wanted to, although the data says we don't want to. Your response.
Right. So first of all, to the polling, I would love to keep talking about this because I think we can educate people and bring them along like we do with any topic. I'm sure at one point, if you would have polled people, they would have wanted to keep slavery forever. And after a while, as the abolitionists continue their conversation, they're able to sway public opinion. But the other thing is reparations is not a popularity contest, Tavis. It is a debt. If I owe you money, do I get to go around and ask all my friends if they think it's a popular idea for me to pay you back? No. You want your doggone money. And you're due your money. And that is the story of reparations. You can go up back to Special Field Order 15. You can go back to the promises of Reconstruction, which are unfulfilled. It is not a popularity contest. It is a debt that America owes to formerly enslaved black people, their descendants in this country. And so to me, it doesn't matter what the polling says, but it does matter to the politicians, and I understand that. That's why a lot of them are afraid of it or kind of tippy-toeing around it. But that's where we, the people, come in.
Yeah. So the second part of that, which we'll talk about when we come forward, is we ain't got no money. The state is broke. We're facing a deficit.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get Dominique's response to that argument when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt, yeah!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt, yeah!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online.
Yeah!
Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
The thing no one tells you about periods is that your flow changes every day, and so should your tampon size. Tampax has 5 absorbencies to match your changing flow. If it hurts to remove, go down a size. If it leaks, go up a size. Only Tampax has a leak guard braid to help give you up to 100% leak and odor-free protection. All-day comfort and protection for under $5 a month. Based on average U.S. consumer usage at manufacturer suggested price. However, pricing is at the sole discretion of the retailer. Excludes 8
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended silver unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Taxes and fees apply.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dominque DiPrima as we talk about reparations here in California. The nation's been watching this. We had a task force that did some good work for quite a while. Those recommendations were eventually turned over to the legislature. The legislature now is considering bills that have been introduced by the Black Caucus in the state legislature. They've introduced a number of bills, and so the real rubber is about to meet the road, as they say. None of these bills, though, contain any cash payments, and that is ruffling the feathers, just to be nice about it. It's angering a lot of people in the state of California that no money's on the table. Before I get to the fact that we ain't got no money, the state's broke, we're in a deficit right now, Dominique. What about this argument that I keep hearing that even from caucus members that, well, this is where we're starting. It's a starting point, it's not an ending point. No, these bills don't have money attached to them, but this is a multi-year effort, and we will eventually get to the money.
Okay, 2 things about that. Number one, you got to put the ask out. You got to strike while the iron is hot. You don't wait until, the window of opportunity closes. 2020 raised a lot of people's consciousness. The task force did their job. They've put the report on the table and the recommendations. You got to strike while the iron is hot. And if you pass a bunch of stuff, some of it is not even reparations, to be honest. Some of it is, okay, it's a good idea, not reparations. Then people can say, well, we passed 14, 16 bills or 10 or 5. We dealt with reparations. Now we're moving on. And we didn't get cash. We didn't get that piece of the puzzle. We didn't get land. We didn't get real resources. Then that is not reparations. If it ain't got cash, it ain't reparations.
Yeah. So the argument that the state is broke, and even if we wanted to make cash payouts, we have no capacity to do so.
Right. So the reason I was making baby sounds is because the California budget ebbs and flows. As you well know, Tavis, in California, we actually tax the rich, unlike the federal government. And so when the rich make a lot of money, like they did during the emergency phase of the pandemic, then the state is flush. When they don't, then the state doesn't have as much money. It doesn't mean they have to pay it out all at once. It can be, you can work that out just like we work out anything. We can be paid out in increments. It can be taken off of taxes. There's all kinds of different ways to work it out. You got to put the ask on the table. You got to strike while the iron is hot, and what that pay schedule looks like, where that money comes from, and on what timetable, all of that can be worked out.
To your point then, is this a skill problem or a will problem?
Will.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a will problem. We have very competent lawmakers in the state of California, and I think it's scary. To his credit, Governor Gavin Newsom has supported the task force, and he has said he supports reparations. We know he wants to be president. So that's, to me, that's where the breaks come in. That's where we get the comment, there's more to reparations than cash.
Yeah.
And he's right about that.
Yeah.
Cash alone won't cut it, but without it, it ain't reparations.
And if I said to you, because Gavin Newsom does in fact want to be president, there ain't no way in heaven or Hades that he will ever sign legislation to give black folk money, because that singular decision, say nothing of his advancing gay marriage as mayor of San Francisco and all the other issues we could point to in this so-called progressive state of California, you start cutting checks to Negroes for slavery, reparations checks, that is a one-way ticket to the bottom of the heap to be president of these United States. That's just hardcore politics. If I said that to you, and I think I just did, you would say what?
I would say, try it. I know he won't do it, but it doesn't matter if he doesn't sign it. That doesn't mean you don't put the bill on his doggone desk. Yeah. It's not up to us black people to wait until it's okay, or we have enough money, or the governor's not trying to run for president, or the polls say it's okay. We demand it. What did Frederick Douglass say? Power concedes nothing without a demand. Well, the time to make that demand is right the heck now. And, contrary to conventional wisdom, I believe that if President Biden signed an executive order right now for something similar to H.R. 40, a study on federal reparations, he would get almost every black vote in this country. He wouldn't have to go on, Charlemagne the God. He could just go on and say, yeah, well, H.R. 40, now what?
Yeah. I think Gavin Newsom's thinking Amy Klobuchar. You recall that campaign when these Negroes in Minnesota started reminding us of the way she didn't step up for them. When she was Attorney General, when she was, DA there. Black folk across the country heard those black folk in Minnesota and said, well, if they didn't like her, we ain't checking out Amy Klobuchar. And what Gavin doesn't want is for all the black folk, including and led by Dominque DiPrima in California, saying, he did not step up for us on reparations. If you're black across America, do not consider voting for Gavin Newsom. The campaign's over before it ever starts.
I agree, but I think the governor is walking the line. Because he has supported the task force. He has supported reparations. He just said it's not just about cash. And then he even walked that back when we all started talking on the radio about it. So I don't think he'll oppose it, but I don't know if he would sign it. But let's see. Let's find out.
Our remaining moments with Dominque DiPrima discussing reparations in California when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful they saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA Can believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
All right, Dominque DiPrima, last word to you. We got 2 minutes here to go. So these bills have been introduced. What happens now?
What happens now is, some of them will get, some of them are just ideas. They'll coalesce into bills. Maybe they'll get the support in the legislature. They'll go to the governor's desk. I think the apology is important. There's one bill that offers a formal apology. To me, that helps.
He'll do that.
Yeah, and that helps set the foundation, I think, the legal foundation for reparations. Most of the other stuff, it's cool, but it's not necessarily reparations.
How do these black legislators convince the white legislators or the brown legislators or the Asian legislators to vote for this package?
Well, for the most part, Japanese Americans have been on board. Yeah. They understand. I think it's an education process. Right. That's why, what you're doing today, what we do on our home station in LA is so important. Right now, there are literally organizations going across the state and across the country trying to educate people. And if you want to know, oag.ca.gov, there is a 60-page encapsulation of the 1,200-page report by the task force. And it makes the argument for reparations. Whether you're trying to convince yourself, your neighbor, or your lawmaker, your fellow lawmaker, you need to read that. That's a great place to start.
I say all the time that what happens in California politics either casts a long shadow or a long sunbeam across the nation.
Right.
In the long run, is this effort in California going to cast across the nation a long shadow or a long sunbeam when it comes to reparations?
It's a sunbeam. It's already happening. You see New York, Colorado, Massachusetts taking up statewide studies on reparations. We are pushing the envelope. It is now into the mainstream. And Cali ain't going to stop. Cali for cash, and we keeping it going in the name of Cali House, by the way.
As I told you, she's the daughter of Amir Baraka and Diane DiPrima. Her name is Dominque DiPrima, the host of First Things First, weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on my home station in L.A., KBLA Talk 1580. Dominque, thank you.
Thank you.
Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until then, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Trump is suing ABC News and George Stephanopoulos for defamation. The lawsuit centers around Stephanopoulos' interview with Congresswoman Nancy Mace earlier this month. During that interview, Stephanopoulos said Trump had been found liable for rape. A New York jury found Trump liable for sexual abuse but not rape. Trump has previously unsuccessfully sued media organizations such as CNN, The Washington Post, and The New York Times for defamation. Lawyers for singer R. Kelly are trying to fight his racketeering conviction in Lower Manhattan. An appeals court panel heard the arguments, with Kelly's attorneys saying prosecutors failed to prove the racketeering claim or that he abused underage girls. The African-American singer is serving a 31-year sentence for those crimes. And That's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary hair? Visit your local SoCal FS Cut and Color salon today and let their team of expert stylists pamper you with affordable luxury. Get a free shampoo with every cut. Book your appointment today at fantasticsams.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
One of the more compelling storylines in the NCAA tournament is coming from Long Beach State. Last Monday, the administration told men's basketball coach Dan Munson he will not be coming back next year. They told Munson he could finish out his 17th season at the school. That conversation happened 2 days before the start of the Big West Conference tournament. With Long Beach State losing their last 5 regular season games, the administration thought it was a good time to inform Munson. Since that conversation, Long Beach State beat UC Riverside, UC Irvine, and UC Davis to win the Big West title and earn the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Long Beach State, a number 15 seed in the West Regional, has a first-round matchup Thursday in Salt Lake City against number 2 Arizona. This is what you call an in-your-face moment for the Long Beach State administration. No debates, no speculation, just the info you